All right. Welcome all explorers. You are now watching Learn Around the World's Geo Show. Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon. I'm going to be your guide on today's virtual field trip. So let's go ahead and get started. So my job, explorers, is I travel all around the globe and I go to unique places. I learn about new cultures, I learn about new history, and I learn about amazing natural wonders like we're going to talk about today on today's virtual field trip. Now, before we get started, obviously we are in unusual times, so I hope everyone is ready to get out and stretch your exploring arms and legs because we've all been cooped up. So let's go exploring today. And a couple of announcements. So I know a lot of people are new to our program today. So if you want to ask a question live during the show, feel free to use the Q&A app or the chat box, but I look at the Q&A app first inside of your Zoom window. If you're watching from outside Zoom today, so if you're watching our live stream on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere else, YouTube, make sure you use the hashtag GeoShow on Twitter if you want to ask a live question. A couple of things about questions. Unfortunately, I probably won't get to every single one of them. There's lots of you and only one of me. Also, I don't know every single thing in the world to know about Asian elephants. But what we're doing with our program is introducing you to a new place and to new topics. And I hope you take this opportunity to go learn more after our virtual field trip because Asian elephants are wonderful, amazing animals. They need our help. And I'm excited to start sharing those uh, great animals with you on today's program. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Today's show is titled The Asian Elephant. And today's show is brought to you by Learn Around the World. And we're going to start off our show with our first survey question. All right, so if you are new to the Geo Show, we use Kahoot along with our program. So if you go to kahoot.it explorers, kahoot.it, or if you have the app, you can open up the app and enter in today's game pin, 9377450, and you can play along with us live. Now, I'll only give you a short amount of time to answer questions. So that means you have to answer quickly to get your questions in. So the way it works is like this. If you're watching from your computer screen, explorers, you're going to need to open up a second window. So if you have another device like a phone or an iPad, it's recommended, but you can do it all on one screen. Just make sure you open two separate windows because you need to see me right now where you're watching the show to see the question and the answers. On your devices, you're only going to see color buttons like a red, blue, green button, for example. I know some of you here today are you are well-traveled explorers here on the Geo Show, so we can go ahead and take the charge and show everyone else how to use Kahoot here on the Geo Show. Now, don't worry, our first few questions, we're not giving out points, but we will have a 5-question quiz at the end of today's show to see who's going to win a postcard from me, GOB, from the Learn Around the World Studios. So the best way to learn, explorers, is to actually do. So let's go ahead and launch that first question. Here we go. Now, I'll only give you a few seconds to answer, so be quick and ask a parent to help you for our younger audiences. All right, let's try it out. So our first question today, explorers, I want to know, where's Thailand? We're going to Thailand, but where is it? What part of the world? Is it located in red Africa, blue South America, yellow Europe, or green Asia? What say you? All right, so lots of people are getting that correct right off the bat, and I'm so happy for all of you. If you had a little bit of trouble getting those answers in, again, we only give you a few seconds. So I'll try to give you as much warning as possible, but get ready to answer quickly. I'll only give you 10 seconds for each question because they're going to start coming fast and furious. So our show, the Geo Show, we like to say that location matters, explorers. So a great idea, no matter where you travel, virtually or in person, always ask yourself, how is this place similar to my home? How is it alike? Or how is this place different than my home? And then always continue to ask questions, explorers. Go further, dig deeper. Why? Why might it be the same? Why might it be different? Is it the weather? Is it the resources that are available, like the types of food, things like this? Is it the type of political system? All these things matter, and they are worth asking questions about. So let's find out. Let's jump right into it, explorers, and talk about where we're going today on our virtual field trip. So we're going to leave this side of the globe if you're watching from the United States, and we're traveling to Thailand. So Thailand, a couple of neat things about Thailand before we zoom into it. I'll show you where we're going exactly, but I highlighted it. It's a small red line, but I'm going to trace it with my finger so you can look at the outline of Thailand. It's a pretty cool shape when you think about it. Today we're talking about elephants. Look at this trunk and the ear right there. Does everyone see that? So the shape of Thailand kind of looks like an elephant. How cool is that? Let's talk about their neighbors really quickly. So we have Myanmar up to the west and northwest. We have Laos and Cambodia, or the eastern border nations to Thailand. And to the south, we have Malaysia. Some other nearby countries you may have heard of is Vietnam. We have Indonesia down here. We have India, this big country over here. So all of these places are really important when we talk about the Asian elephant, because the Asian elephant lives in all of these other places as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about where we are talking about in Thailand. So let's zoom in. So I see that a couple of people have already started this, but please let me know where you're watching from in the chat box. I'll give you some shout outs here in a second. We're going to the Elephant Nature Park today. So if you've ever heard of Chiang Mai, Thailand, it's just north of Chiang Mai, Thailand. And the Elephant Nature Park is a sanctuary. So it's an elephant sanctuary, and this is where we're traveling on our virtual field trip today. We're going to go down here and walk around and look at the elephants up and close and personal. Now, a couple of things about the elephants here. Because this is a sanctuary, all of the elephants have been rescued. So that means all of the elephants that we're going to see, all of them are either injured physically or they've been injured emotionally, meaning they came from a very bad home. They were mistreated. And so now they've been brought here so they can live a happy life for the rest of their lives. And so people like us can come here and visit and learn about this amazing creature, because guess what, explorers? They need our help. Asian elephants are endangered. More about that in a second. I do want to point out this river. You see that a river runs right through here. Now, some of you may be asking yourself, I want a pet elephant one day. Well, it takes a lot of resources to keep an elephant, and you're going to need a lot of water. That's why I showed you that river. Elephants drink up to 40 gallons of water a day, and they need over 400 pounds of food. So just keep those things in mind. So when we talk about the Asian elephant, before we go walking around, one last thing about the Asian elephant is that they used to be found all across Asia. So you see this shaded area with the diagonal lines. Okay, this comes from the WWF, no, not wrestling for all of our older parents out there, but the World Wildlife Fund. And this is the original habitat of the Asian elephant. So all the way up into China, all the way stretching into the Middle East, all through Indonesia, lots of different places. Now you see these black shaded areas? A lot smaller, right? This is the current habitat of the Asian elephant. So the Asian elephant is endangered. If you've never heard of that word before, explorers. So endangered means we're one step over from going extinct. Let me know if you know what extinct means in the chat box. So extinct means we're going to have no more of them. So we don't want that to happen, right? So usually people ask, why are they endangered? Well, there's several reasons that we can talk about today, but the number one reason when we talk about endangered animals, almost, maybe not every single animal on Earth, but almost every single animal, when we talk about an animal being endangered, the number one reason typically is loss of habitat. What is it? Right, loss of habitat. Look, there's a lot of people that live in this area. Over 1 billion people in India, over 1 billion people in China, lots of people in Southeast Asia too. There's a lot of competition for resources and for space. Elephants are big animals. They need a lot of space. And when we cut down their forests, they have no more homes. So where are they going to live? And because of that, they are endangered. In fact, today there's only about 35,000 Asian elephants left. It sounds like a lot, but that's really not that many when we're talking about the number of animals on a planet. All right, so what we're doing today, explorers, is we're going to start off today with a tour of the Elephant Nature Park. We'll talk about some fun facts of Asian elephants and how we can tell the Asian elephants from different elephants. And we're going to wrap it up today talking about tourism. All right, elephant tourism. Is that a good or bad thing for elephants? I don't know. You decide. All right, so lots of people are chiming in here today. So we have Boston, Massachusetts in the house, Texas, Troy, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio's in the house. Megan and Ashley from Michigan, shout out to you in Michigan. We have Ohio in the house, Waterville, Ohio, Asia, just Asia, Chris is in Asia, Illinois, New Jersey, lots of places watching, Chicago, California. All right, you can keep those coming in, but we are going to move along and start to do our virtual tour today. So let's go ahead down to the ground, explorers, and we're going to visit the Elephant Nature Park. Again, this is a sanctuary that they take in and rescue elephants, and these are the ones that we're going to see today. All right, so abracadabra, let me get out of your way, and let's begin our tour here in northern Thailand. First of all, here's an interesting thing to point out, explorers. Have you ever seen a cow crossing or a horse crossing sign? Have you ever seen an elephant crossing sign on a road? Well, you're going to find those in Thailand, because in Thailand, there's about 1,500 wild elephants left. So you will come across them. And then there's more domesticated elephants as well when we start talking about elephants that are in captivity. So on the way to the Elephant Nature Park, one of the things that we love about this visit here is that it's not just a come, hey, look at all these neat tricks that elephants can do. They really teach you a lot of cool things. And one of the things they do here is the lady that started the Elephant Nature Park in collaboration with the National Geographic, they made a documentary about why elephants tourism may be good or bad for elephants. And we'll get more into that. But a lot of the dangers with elephants that they talk about, like loss of habitat, and another one is the black market, the sale of ivory. So this little elephant is made of ivory. So ivory, if you don't know, is something that, like rhinoceros, their horn, or the tusk of elephants are made of ivory. So unfortunately, some people either kill or capture and just cut off the tusk of elephants, and they make things to sell. So one thing we never want to do, explorers, is no matter how pretty that thing looks, if you ever come across anything made of ivory, you don't want to buy it. Do you want to buy something made of ivory? No, of course we don't, because when we do that, what we don't see is that the elephant that had to die for that, and there's not many of them left. So we definitely don't want to do that. All right, so as we continue from Chiang Mai to the Elephant Nature Park, the first thing that we're going to see here at the park is we're going to see the loading dock. And the reason I like to start off here with our virtual tours is because we're talking about taking care of elephants. And remember, I said you need a lot of water, you need a lot of food too. So it takes 400 pounds of food per elephant every single day. That's a lot in a small space. So the way that they do that at the Elephant Nature Park is they use really heavy foods, foods like corn, foods like watermelon, squash, pumpkins. But in the wild, this is not their natural food. In the wild, they're eating things like bamboo, leaves, shoots, roots. And because of that, they need a lot of it. Imagine how many leaves you have to eat to equal 400 pounds. You have to eat a lot less amount of watermelon, right? So that's what they give them here. So leaving the loading dock, we're going to walk through the visitor center before going out into the park. So to the left here, they have the store which you can buy goods and help support the Elephant Nature Park in their work. And one of my favorite things to do at the visitor center is to feed elephants. All right, so look at that. One neat thing you need to do before you feed an elephant here at the feeding dock when you come to the Elephant Nature Park is you need to watch your step. And the reason you need to watch your step, wait, do you know? Let me point something out. It's hard to see, but there's a red line that goes off to the side, and there's one down in front of our feet here. It's hard to see, but there's a red line. So the rule here is we have to stay behind the red line. Do we have any ideas out there? Anyone know why you must stay behind the red line? Let's see. Lots of great questions coming in. How much money? That's a great question. I don't know how much money all this food costs. So one of the things, unfortunately, I did not ask some of the managers is what their daily budget with food is. That would be a good thing to ask. I love where you're going with your thinking. I do know, which I can show anyone that has a little bit longer to hang out today. At the end, I'll show some bonus material of another place. They actually help donate to places like the Elephant Nature Park because they get something from the park in return. It's kind of like a trade. So I'm sure they donate food from time to time. All right, so you don't trip. Miss Patton's class wants to know, so you don't trip from the elevator? Yeah, look at that big old long trunk. Their trunk can get over 6 feet long. And did you know their trunk can weigh over 800 pounds? Imagine 800 pounds coming like this and hitting you in your legs. And it means they're not trying to, but they will knock your feet out from under you and you can fall right on their trunk and hurt them. And we don't want to do that. So for the safety of yourself and the safety of the elephants, that's why you can't go across that red line here at the Elephant Nature Park. But we can get down and look at them close. And we're going to meet the rest of our group here. And we're going to walk out amongst the elephants in the park. Now, a couple of things that's really neat here. So one of the things, if you've ever visited a farm or any other place that has animals before, some of you may have had to open a gate to walk in a pen where an animal is here. But you don't need that with elephants. There's no gates required. There's nothing open and closed to get in. And that's because they use these things. And I'm gonna point these out now because we're gonna see these around the park as we walk around. And these columns, what these do is they put them really narrow, really close together. So we can walk through them because we're human and we're a lot thinner than an elephant, but the elephant can't squeeze through there. You know, elephants are really amazing animals, meaning they're really strong. They can pick up things and move them out of the way. Did you know that elephants are fantastic swimmers? One of my favorite neat fun facts about elephants is they'll take their trunk, they'll throw it up in the air, they'll go down deep into water and cross really deep crossings, and they can use their trunk like a built-in snorkel. How cool is that? Don't you wish you had one of these? I do. All right, so they have a built-in snorkel. They're great swimmers. They love swimming. But you know what they can't do? They can't jump and they can't hop or anything like that. They're just too big. They weigh too much and they can't do it. So anything too narrow that's unmovable, they have to walk around it. So they can't get through these spaces. So that's how they manage the elephants and keep them out of certain areas. Now, as we walk around, if you look to the right, I just want to point out this thing right here because I'm going to reference this in a little bit. Does everyone see this high platform? This high platform, when I visited here, stopped just before the river. So the river's over here. We're going to walk and see that river in just a few minutes. But today, this platform actually extends out over the river and not stop before the river. And we'll talk about why that is when we get over to the river. But I just wanted to point that out when I reference this platform. All right, you see those stone columns right there? They're circling these trees. Why do you think they're circling the trees out there? Anyone have a guess? Anyone think? Why do they put these around the trees? Well, if we use them to keep them away from things, okay, so Chris is saying so they don't eat the trees. That's a great guess. So elephants can't get in there and eat the trees. Lots of people are going with the theme of eating. And yeah, probably in some respects, but even more than that is so they don't kill the tree. And they're not killing the tree on purpose. So what happens is elephants are really big animals. And when they walk on the ground is not solid like concrete. The ground is more like a sponge in a way. So when you step on it, or if everyone's walked across a bed before, you know how when you step on a mattress, it kind of sinks in. Well, that's the ground that we all walk around. It's not that soft, maybe in some places. But if you walk over the ground enough times, what happens is you pack it tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter till one day it will become just as tight and hard as something like concrete or a sidewalk. And if that happens, any plants growing there, the roots become squished and it will kill the plants. In fact, you don't have to be as big as an elephant. If you have any hikers out there today, and next time you go hiking, look down at the hiking trail. just by humans walking on a hiking trail. Right next to the hiking trail, you'll see trees and shrubs dying just because we're squishing their roots and we're compacting the soil for our older audiences out there. Compact that soil compaction. We don't want to do that. So that's what they're preventing here. All right, enough about management of elephants. Let's get out there and meet some of our elephants. That's what we're here to see today. So one thing about the Elephant Nature Park in the wild, typically what you'll find is a group of elephants, and a group of elephants is called a herd. What are they called? That's right, they're called a herd. And in fact, the herds typically aren't that big. And because they aren't that big, you'll often hear them referred to as a family. So if anyone has any elephant books out there, you'll often come across people talking about a group of elephants and they'll say a family. And that's because typically a small herd is all one family. So a herd is typically made up of generations of the females, so the lady elephants. So you'll typically have a grandma, the moms, and the daughters and sons. What happens? Why aren't the boys around? Well, typically when the elephants reach sexual maturity, so typically around 9, 10 years old or so, then the males are going to leave the herd. They're going to leave their family. And the only time they come back around other elephants really is, or other herds or families, is when it's time to mate. So other times they're living off by themselves. So the families or the herds, okay, they are led by the oldest, typically the oldest female. So we call that a matriarch. So these are a matriarch system or family. And this makes sense. Today I'll talk about several things about elephants that are kind of false that really we think about a lot of times. Like for instance, elephants like peanuts. I don't know where that came from. They don't really like peanuts. Elephants are scared of mice. You'll see that in cartoons sometimes. Maybe if they see something flash by, it's the flash that startles them. It's not the mouse. Look at them. They're not scared of a mouse. But one of the things that is common to say is that elephants have a good memory. And that is very, very, very true. Elephants have a fantastic memory. So what happens is if you have a herd or a family and you go into a time of drought and there's all the water holes are dried up, it's really helpful to have a matriarch in charge, someone that's lived a long, long time that remembers a certain water hole from 40 years ago that still had water during the last drought. And because of that, it's really helpful to have your oldest female, the matriarch, in charge. Now, we're going to call them herds today and not families because all of these elephants are adopted families. They're in adopted herds. That's because none of them grew up here. They've all been rescued from bad homes. So let's find out. Let's meet some of our individual elephants today. So our first elephant that we're going to see here, this elephant was rescued from a circus, and more on circuses later. But this elephant was rescued from a circus. And a couple things you want to be careful of, explorers. You see how big this elephant is. I actually got squeezed in between the structure that we see behind me now and the elephant. So you have to be very, very careful. Elephants can weigh up to 10,000 pounds. Asian elephants can weigh up to 10,000 pounds. That's a lot, right? So just not even trying to, they can really hurt you just by nudging, just by a gentle lean into you. If you're trapped in between two things, it's not going to feel good. While we're here and we're talking about this lady elephant, does anyone out there know what we call a female elephant? Anyone know what we call a female elephant? I'll scan our chat here, see a lady or a girl. Yeah, you definitely can call them a lady or a girl. What would be the science word for them? Anyone know what the science word is for a female elephant? All right, so lots of guesses coming in. Females. We're going to go with, all right, Ashley got it. So great job, Ashley. High five. Cow. Can everyone say cow? Awesome. And if the ladies or the females are called a cow, what do you think the boys are called? Anyone have an idea what the boys are called? All right, a bull. You got it correct. Right on cue. Miss Patterson's class, or Patton's class. Leanna, Latar, Stephanie. All right, so lots of people out there. And if the boys are bulls, the girls are cows. What do you think the babies are called? All right, so Ashley, Chris, Latar, lots of people out there. So a calf, so they are called a calf. And we look at this calf. This calf was rescued from the wild. Its foot was caught in a trap, so they have to rebandage his foot every single day. So this one was rescued and had a physical injury. And when we look at our next elephant, and did you know babies are 200 pounds when they're born? They're already very, very big. When we look at this cow's legs, I like to point her out because this really tells us a little bit about the history of a place, and especially when we talk about the history of a place like Thailand. Sorry about that. And when we talk about a place like Thailand, we have a past history of wars. And because of that, we have something very bad, explorers, that humans have invented, something called landmines. And so this elephant steps on a landmine. So for our younger audiences, you can have a discussion with your parents later on about what that exactly is. But it's a really horrible device that people use in war, and you bury them so you can't see it. And those, no one knows if they're there, including animals. So this elephant stepped on a landmine, and you can see her leg. So this is the normal leg position of an elephant. So you see this cow, her legs are straight up and down, just like imagine yourself standing straight up and down. And look at her leg. You see how far it goes out like that? So it became injured when she stepped on this explosive. So it's really, really bad for her. And in fact, if she was left in the wild, she would have died. She would not have survived. And speaking of other injuries that are common at the Elephant Nature Park, and this cow is blind. And this cow is blind because she was rescued from a bad tourism situation. And we'll talk more about tourism in a second, but one of the ways in tourism, or one of the ways I should say, you get animals to do things that you want them to do is either you can choose, think about when your parents ask you to do things, right? How do you want to be, let's say, encouraged or enticed to do something? Would you like a reward for doing something good, or do you want to be punished for not doing that thing, right? So, so when we talk about training animals, there's two different tactics you can use as well. And so a lot of the times punishment is used. And one of the ways to do that is because elephants are so much bigger than you, the only way you can really hurt them or cause them pain is to hit them in really soft, sensitive areas like their eyes. And so unfortunately, it's not something happy to talk about, but it's true. We can't deny it. It happens. So we need to think about that when we talk about places and different types of tourism that we support, because this elephant is going to be blind for the rest of her life. All right, so when we continue on, a couple of other things, because we're about to look at a bull, and I'm about to point something out about their tusk. But I want to point something here. You see this little nub here. So the females, or the cows with the Asian elephants, they do have a little undeveloped tusk. All right, and sometimes, not all the times, but they never have a full tusk, the females of the Asian elephant. Now African elephants, the females do have tusk, so it's that is a difference. So we're going to look at the bullpen here, explorers. Now remember, they keep them separated. In the wild, they naturally separate themselves. Here at the Elephant Nature Park, they keep them separated as well, because the bulls, when it is time to mate, they become aggressive, and we have people walking around, and we don't want that to happen. But here are those fully developed tusks. You can see how big they are. So they get very, very big, and these are the things that are made of ivory. Remember, we were talking about ivory earlier? This is the part of the elephant made of ivory. So you never, ever, ever want to buy something made of ivory, because the males with the Asian elephants are killed just for their ivory. Nothing else is used for the animal. And so that is not a good practice that I think most of us would want to support. All right, so what I typically do here with our classrooms, today's a little bit different. So if you have earbuds or earphones on, ignore what I'm about to say. But for everyone else out there, if you're listening to a speaker, humor me, and we're going to do something called Deer Ears we do on the Geo Show. So all right, explorers, take your hands, and I want you to make cups in your hands like you're scooping up water. Now, I want you to put these scoops behind your ears like so. And what we're doing is we're just making our ears bigger. having more area, more surface area with our ears. Now we have deer ears. You ever seen a deer with their big ears? All right, so now I want you to point your deer ears towards the speaker where you hear my voice coming from now. I don't know where that is. Is it there? Is it there? Is it there? I don't know. You know, I don't know. All right, so point your deer ears towards wherever you hear my voice, and you should hear me louder right now. That's because you have a bigger ear to catch more of those sound waves. All right, waves, sound travels in waves, and we want to catch those sound waves so we can hear better. So this is called an adaptation or an example of one type of adaptation. So different animals have different adaptations. So I like to explain it like, think about different people that do different jobs, right? You have a toolbox, say a carpenter and a mechanic and a plumber. They all have a toolbox. They all have adaptations in those toolboxes, but they have different ones because they're doing different jobs. Same thing with animals. Animals live in different homes. Sometimes they live in a cold environment, sometimes a hot environment. Some fly, some live on the ground, some live underwater. And no matter where you live, you need things to help you survive. These different tools, we all have them. Think about your opposable thumbs. They're not for playing video games. They're for grabbing and holding on to things, holding on to tools. So we now have a better adaptation. So let's use that better adaptation. I want you to hear what it sounds like when a bull elephant is calling out to other elephants. Let's listen up. All right, so he called this cow over and she's gonna walk over. And if you really want to have some fun with this, you can try to make that sound at home. You can throw up your trunk and go, oh, oh, oh. All right, so a couple other things about sounds. This is really cool. One of my favorite fun facts besides the snorkel about Asian elephants and other elephants as well, is they make sounds that we can't hear. Remember, adaptations, hearing is the type of hearing that you have is an adaptation, and sound, like light, we have all different kinds, a big wide spectrum. So a spectrum, think about a rainbow. A rainbow is a spectrum of colors, but did you know there's colors outside of that spectrum that our human eyes, our adaptations can't see? But other animals like butterflies, did you know butterflies can see more colors than any other animal? Pretty cool, huh? The elephants has a type of sound they make called infrasound. So when we talk about the spectrum, we have high sounds, low sounds, brr. So it's a sound that goes so low that our human ears, even our deer ears, cannot hear. And it's called infrasound. And this sound they can hear miles away. Pretty cool, huh? So they have lots of different ways that they communicate. In fact, remember that good memory they have? Elephants can remember up to 200 different individual elephants. So they have relationships with other elephants. They remember elephants that they see from time to time, even not in their herd. So elephants, amazing, smart animals. All right, so as we're walking, I know some people were asking some questions. How big are they? How many teeth do they have? What's my favorite animal? All right, so remember I said how big they are? They can get up to 10,000 pounds, and that's the males, up to 5 tons. And the females are going to be a little bit smaller. The males can get up to 11 feet tall, and the females get a little bit shorter, up to 10 feet tall. And the babies are 200 pounds when they're born. Now, a couple of things, when you come to the Elephant Nature Park, you see in my hand here that I'm actually feeding the elephants. One of my favorite things to do here is to feed the elephants, but they remind you they want to let the elephants pick up the food and feed themselves. They don't want you doing it. The reason is because in Thailand, it's very hot. It's a tropical environment. It means it's hot all year round. There's 2 seasons. There's a hot season, hot and dry season, and hot and rainy season. So this is where you'll hear a lot of times, rainy seasons and dry seasons. But because of that, we have lots of sunscreen on our skin. We have insect repellent on our skin, and that's not good for the elephant. So what they do, they ask you to let the elephant grab the food out of your hand and let the elephant feed themselves, because they have ways of playing video games too, not just you. All right, so we're gonna let them feed themselves, and as we continue on here. And we are going to open up the floor for some questions here in just a minute. So make sure you throw your questions into that Q&A app. And we would love to do a rapid fire of questions. So one of my favorite things to do here at the Elephant Nature Park is to give them a bath. All right, so, but I do want to remind you. Remember earlier I said there's reason that I pointed out that tall platform. Well, that platform, when I was here last, did not come out over the river. Today, it does come out over the river. The reason being is you are no longer allowed to give them a bath at the Elephant Nature Park. Also, you cannot ride elephants. So you may have met people that have ridden elephants in Thailand before. You can't do that here at the Elephant Nature Park. Remember, they're all injured or rescued. Do you want to ride a blind elephant or an injured elephant? No, you don't want to do that. It's not good for the elephant, and it's not good for you if they throw you off. And but they used to allow giving them a bath. But because look at all these people, I just want you to observe, and especially me, I'm number one here, throwing water around, having water fights with other people, and that's really not good in the long run for them because a lot of these animals have been rescued from bad homes, and it means that they have a lot of anxiety. And when you get a lot of people running around behind them, throwing water, it's probably not their best life. And their main mission at the Elephant Nature Park is to give them their best life. A secondary mission is to help educate people like us. They're thinking about the elephants first. And again, that's what I love about the Elephant Nature Park. So let's go over there and get up close to these because a couple of things to point out here. And when we talk about the Asian elephant, and when you get up close to them, we want to point out, again, they go around in herds. And let's go look at them up close. All right, so do you see how they're kind of pinkish, right, on their trunks and on their ears? That's because they lose pigment. The older they get, they'll lose pigment in their skin. And some people want to know, do they like this? Yeah, they like being wet. Probably they don't like 20, 40 people throwing water around them, running around, splashing. That's why they don't allow it any longer, but they used to. And elephants naturally give themselves a bath as well. And that's because after they take a bath, they'll throw dirt on their backs. And this works as a natural sunblock or sunscreen. It makes a layer of mud on their backs. And the reason that they stopped is you have people like me. And if you're like me, explorers, you know, on a hot day, you're going to start throwing buckets of water at other people. And that's definitely what I did. And I'm pretty sure lots of you would do. And a lot of people do that. It's just something naturally people do. And so because of that, they don't allow this any longer at the Elephant Nature Park. So I'm showing you this today, but do know if you ever want to go here, they're not going to allow you to give them a bath. They have stopped this practice. All right, so we're going to open up the floor for questions, and then we'll learn some more fun facts about elephants and the differences between other types of elephants as well. Again, we won't get to all of your questions, but we'll start off and see what we got here. All right, I'm looking at the Q&A app first, and then I refer to our chat box second. All right, why do they weigh so much? Jones is asking. I don't really know why, as far as they are a big animal and their ancestors are big. So if you go way, way, way back in the family tree, they were a sea cow. And if you think about other mammals from the ocean, they tend to be really big. Think about the biggest animal in the world, the blue whale, right? Think about other animals, dolphins, really big. So they were a sea cow before they came out on land and became elephants eventually. All right, so great question. Do elephants have fur? Yes, they do. They have a little bit of hair. So I'll see if I can point some out in our up close pictures coming up here. But they are mammals. Mammals have hair and fur, just like us. Hey, we're mammals too. Other things about mammals, they give live birth, except for the duckbill platypus lays eggs, and then they give their babies milk. So the elephants, Asian elephants, they're pregnant for 22 months. Whoa! I know your moms out there are probably saying, whoa, 22 months. That's a long pregnancy. So yes, 22 months, and their babies are 200 pounds, and they give milk to their babies for the first 3 to 5 years of their lives. Let's see. Are elephants in the rainforest? Yes. So the Asian elephant and some African elephants live in the rainforest. Great question. Do Asian elephants evolved from African elephants? No, more on that in a second. And do they have a common ancestor? Common ancestor is a better way to answer that. Let's see, do they make the elephants feel overwhelmed? Do they make them? Yeah, probably with a lot of people running and jumping around them, right? Remember, a lot of them are coming from bad homes. So let's see, how old do they get? Great question. Typically about the lifespan of a human, so about 70, 80 years. And I forget who asked, someone in here, Chris, I think, asked how many teeth they have. So Asian elephants typically die of starvation if they reach old age. And the reason they starve is because they lose all their teeth. So Asian elephants have 4 teeth at a time, 2 molars on the top, 2 molars on the bottom. Everyone go like this with me. All right, let's grind those teeth down. Remember, we are chewing. We have to eat 400 pounds of food today. Keep grinding your food. So we have to chew. Think about a cow. You ever seen a cow chewing all day long? Did you know Asian elephants chew up to 18 hours a day? That's a lot of chewing. My mouth hurts just thinking about it. Look, we're still grinding. All this grinding, bamboo, leaves, roots, all this stuff. Over time, the teeth will grind or file down. And what happens is they push them out, they fall out the front of their mouth, and they replace them with 4 more teeth. They do this 6 times throughout their life. So they have 6 sets of 4. Our older kids already know how much that is, but our younger kids, that's going to equal 24 teeth throughout their life. Once they lose their 24 teeth, they get no more teeth. And they typically would die of starvation, typically around 70, 80. It's going to be different for each individual elephant, but that would be the average lifespan of the Asian elephants. All right, so we'll come back to some questions, don't worry, but let's keep things moving a little bit. And let's talk about some differences, because some people were asking about Asian elephants and African elephants, which brings us to our next survey question over on Kahoot. All right, if you joined us late, make sure you get over to kahoot.it. Enter in today's game pin 9377450 before our quiz comes up at the end of the show. All right, our question for you explorers, I want to know, how many species of elephants are there? How many elephant species are there in the world? All right, there are 2. So if you said 2, you were correct. Big old virtual high five to you. There's the Asian elephant and there's the African elephant. They are the only 2 species of elephant on planet Earth. Now, there are subspecies of each of these. So there are subspecies of the Asian elephant. There are subspecies of the African elephant. That means there's minor differences, not enough to be a whole different species. Okay. All right. Speaking of that, that's going to bring us up today to our daily double. Let's go back to Kahoot. I have another question for you, explorers. The Asian elephant is more closely related to the African elephant, the manatee, the woolly mammoth, or a rhinoceros. What do you think? Bum, 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 bum. All right. Did you know it's more closely related to the woolly mammoth than it is to the African elephant? That's right. The Asian elephant, the last common ancestor was about 6 million years ago. Kind of like if you think about us and other great apes like the chimpanzee or the gorilla, our last common ancestor was, I think, around 5 million years ago, if I remember correctly. Fact check me on that. I'm not going to promise that one. But about 6 million years ago, the last common ancestor split between the African elephant and the Asian elephant. Think of other animals that may be similar or look alike, like a crocodile and an alligator. They are not the same animal. They just look alike. They are common, but they aren't the same. In fact, the woolly mammoth was more closely related. They are closer on the family tree than the African elephant. All right, so let's continue on. Let's learn some more fun things about elephants in general. and some more differences between the African elephant and the Asian elephant. So did you know, explorers, when you see elephants flapping their ears back and forth, they're actually cooling off. So they radiate heat. That means kind of like you go outside on a hot day and that heat's coming off the sidewalk. That's called radiation or radiating heat. So when they flip their big ears back and forth, they send hot blood to their ears and it cools off from flapping around in the air. And then that cool down blood goes back into their body. Pretty neat, huh? Also, cool thing when you look at their ears, another way you can tell the difference between the two. One is they lose their pigmentation. The Asian elephant is a common trait in them, but not the African elephant. Also, you have to use your imagination, but if you look at the shape of the Asian elephant ear, it kind of looks like India. And if you look like the ear of an African elephant, it kind of looks like Africa. You have to stretch it a little bit, but in general, they kind of do. It's kind of neat how that works out. And when we talk about them, remember they said they eat lots of food, 18 hours a day they're chewing. And they're eating in the wild, again, things like bamboo, leaves, things they would naturally find in their habitat, in their forest, shrubs, other grasses. When we look at an elephant, here's a, you know what? I keep saying one of my fun facts. I just love elephants. They're so cool. Did you know, look at that big padded foot there. Did you know they actually have toes? So one of the differences between the two is the number of toenails they have. So this is another way you can tell the difference between an African elephant and an Asian elephant. The Asian elephant has 5 toenails on their front feet and they have 4 toenails on their back feet. The African elephant has 4 toenails on their front feet and only 3 toenails on each back foot. And if you have a toenail, that means you have a toe. And so inside that big padded foot is actually 5 individual toes. Can you imagine the biggest land animal on earth is actually walking around on their tippy toes? Kind of like you know how a ballerina goes up on their tippy toes and walk around on those in those shoes? Kind of like the same way. They're going up on their tippy toes. Really, really neat to think about. When you look at it close, look at those big old toenails. Now, they don't need big toenail clippers or anything like that. They file down as they walk around. Other cool things about elephants and talking about differences. And one of the things that I always like to talk about in animals is what comes out of those animals. So what are we looking at here? That's right, poop or scat or droppings, whichever word you want to use or find the funniest. So elephants' digestive system, remember they're eating all that food? Well, one of the reasons is because their digestive system is not that great. And because it's not that great, much of what they eat does not get absorbed into their bodies. And so you can actually tell the age of an elephant. You can age an elephant, kind of, it's not like counting tree rings or anything, but you can tell if it's an old or a young elephant by looking at their droppings. So when you have stuff that looks really kind of unhealthy, bad, discolored, this comes out of an older elephant. So that's one of the ways you can tell. The other thing you could do is look at the elephant themselves. So elephants have kind of a temple, kind of like you have, and you know these little dimples or concave areas in your temple of your forehead? Well, the elephant has that too. And the older they get, the more sunken or the more concave. So for our older students, that's that word that we're looking for, that vocabulary word. So concave is when we're curved inward. And so the more concave they become, you can kind of tell the difference between or age an elephant. And you can look at their skin, look how much they become more wrinkled, very similar to other mammals that get up around this age, like humans. And speaking of a younger elephant, let's look at this younger mom. You can see her forehead, her dimples are not as concave as the older one. And this is her baby. And remember, the babies, they stay with their moms for the first 3 to 5 years of their lives. Elephants tend to have one calf at a time. It is possible they do have twins, but it's not common. And a little guy fell against a tree. And one of my favorite things to talk about elephants is, of course, you can't talk about elephants and not talk about their trunk. So big old question out to everyone. Let me know in the chat box. The human body has somewhere around 750 muscles in it, in your entire body. How many muscles do you think is in that one elephant trunk? How many muscles do you think are in that one elephant trunk? All right, Ethan's saying 500. Go higher, Ethan. 7,000. Go higher. You need to go higher than that. 1,000. 11,000. Guess what? You need to go higher. 1 million. All right, go lower. All right, so over 100,000 muscles. That's right, over 100,000 muscles just in the elephant trunk. They can weigh up to 800 pounds, and they do all kinds of things. They pick up things. They slurp up water and then squirt it into their mouth. Now, they're not actually drinking through their trunk. They squirt it into their mouth, kind of like a hose. And they throw sand on their back. They put food in their mouth. And one of the ways they do many things is they use something right at the end of their elephant. They have an appendage here that they use to pick up things, just like you have an appendage at the end of your extremities. And what is this thing called? Many of you are saying fingers right now, and you are correct. They're called a finger as well. So here's my last fun difference between the Asian elephant and the African elephant. The Asian elephant, throw your trunks out, explorers, and stick out one finger. The Asian elephant has one finger on the top of the end of their trunk. This is different from the African elephant. The African elephant, throw two hands out, put out both your pointer fingers. They have two fingers. So they have an upper finger and a bottom finger. And now you can go around your house today and you can pretend to be an African elephant and pick up things, and then pretend to be an Asian elephant and pick up things, and see which elephant would you prefer to be. I don't know. So it's up to you. It's your choice. All right. So when we talk about their trunks, this is one of the most amazing things to talk about, of course. And they get over 7 feet long, or up to 7 feet long. And again, they throw things around. This is one of my favorite things they do, is that they throw mud on their back. Remember, after they take a bath, what they're doing here is this dirt sticks to that water that's still on their back and turns to mud. And this creates a layer of mud, muck. And what this does is this protects them not only from the sun, but also insects as well. And one more difference between the African elephant, you see there's two domes or two humps on the forehead of the Asian elephant. Okay, this is different from the African elephant. So the African elephant has one hump. The Asian elephant has two humps on their forehead. So, or dome is the better proper word. So one dome versus two domes. One dome versus two domes. What am I? African elephant. What am I? Asian elephant. You got it, explorers. Great job. All right, and remember, they're called a herd. And let's go ahead and open it up. I want to know from you, explorers, a couple questions. Let's take some questions. I know there's lots of them out there. All right, we're going to jump in, and we are running a little bit over. It's just so much to talk about, and I know a lot of you are cooped up today, so we want to give you as much time exploring as possible. And let's see, how is the Asian elephant closer to the woolly mammoth? Well, it's just, how are you closer to your first cousin than you are your third cousin? You're closer by relation. You're closer by relation. So even though the woolly mammoth is extinct, remember the last common ancestor. So the last time they both have a common great grandparent. I can't go that many greats because it's 6 million years ago, a long time ago. So that was the last time they had a common ancestor. Okay, so so that's why they're more closely related to the woolly mammoth. There's been other animals, other relatives throughout the tree as well, but those are extinct now. Remember, almost 99% of every animal that's ever existed is extinct right now. That's what happens to animals. And so some of them continue to live on, some of them do not. All right, we just don't want to make it our fault, right? I think that's a good thing to strive for. Let's see, how many relatives are on the family tree? I don't know. Let's see, how much water do they drink? They drink about 40 gallons of water a day, 40 gallons of water a day. Let's see, how many babies do they have? Typically, they don't reach sexual maturity until about 10 years old, and then at that time, when they have a baby, they're pregnant for 22 months, and then they typically nurse that baby for 3 to 5 years. So if you're doing your math, every 7 years or so, starting at 10 years, if they're having babies regularly in the lifespan of a cow, maybe 6, 7 babies total, maybe more, maybe less. I don't really know. That's just quick math right off the top of my head. All right, great questions, everyone. And checking in. Lots of pictures shared, but no questions over on hashtag Geo Show. All right, so we're going to wrap. We're going to bring it all together. So we've learned lots of fun things out there today, explorers, and I want to go ahead and talk about tourism. So tourism can be done in a very good or very maybe not so good way. So let's talk about tourism and how that plays out, not only in Thailand, but some of you may be surprised how that plays out maybe near your homes as well. And before we get started, I want to know from you over on Kahoots. What do you think, explorers? Is tourism good or bad for Asian elephants? All right, a lot of people are saying no, some I don't know. All right, so well, let's talk about it because this is important. All right, so elephant tourism. Does anyone here want to ride an elephant? It's okay to throw up your hands. In fact, one of the things that was on my bucket list when I came to Thailand for the first time was I wanted to ride an elephant. It looked so fun. It's one of my favorite animals in the world, always has been since I've been a little kid. And I've always wanted to ride the elephant. You see them in the movies, you see people posting pictures of doing it when they visit places. It looks really cool, right? Who doesn't want to ride an elephant? Come on. But one of the things that we learned at the Elephant Nature Park, they do not allow riding, primarily because they're injured elephants, but they also promote that we shouldn't be riding elephants is the best thing. If you do, there is a better way to ride elephants. And let's talk about what do I mean by that. Typically what happens when you come to places across Asia with the Asian elephant, places like India, Thailand, Cambodia, other places as well, Indonesia, you may see these elephants with these big chairs on their back. There's a couple bad things about this for the elephants. One is these chairs just by themselves weigh a couple 100 pounds. And then you put a couple people on those chairs. Well, we're getting up to around maybe 600 pounds now. And then they put those chairs and all that extra weight on their back. So right in the middle of their back. Elephants' bodies, their structure of their skeletons is not designed to carry a lot of weight right on their back. All right, so it was encouraged to us at the Elephant Nature Park, and we love to share this advice as well. If you want to ride an elephant, that does not make you a bad person. However, I would ask you to consider riding an elephant bareback. So there is a better way. So if you ride an elephant without the chair, so always look for that when you visit places. And it's better to ride right on their neck. And come on, it's cooler. It's cooler, right? Hey, I bareback rode an elephant. How cool is that? It sounds cooler and it's actually better for the elephant. So if you choose to ride an elephant, awesome. Just make sure you ride them bareback and not these big chairs. Not really great for the elephants. Plus, they're overworked a lot of the times. And if an elephant 10,000 pounds throws you off, then it's not going to be good for the elephants. So this is one of the managers at the Elephant Nature Park. And because of our time today, we'll kind of skip through some things. She said, basically, she told us all about their loss of habitat. And that's what we talked about at the very beginning of the show. So why is elephant tourism a thing? Well, elephants have been domesticated throughout history in Southeast Asia. So domesticated means you take a wild plant or animal and you make it to where you can grow it or raise it or anything like that. We do this all the time as humans. Cattle have been domesticated. Think about all your farm animals, chickens, goats, pigs. All our food, corn was once a wild plant. It was domesticated. So we can grow it in a garden, harvest the seeds, keep doing it over and over again. Domesticating animals or plants is not necessarily a bad thing, right? We use that as humans. So what we need to think about is we had a whole bunch of domesticated elephants. They were already domesticated in Thailand. In 1988, logging was banned, and the elephant was like the bulldozer of Thailand. So you see this elephant pulling this big old tree out of the forest, and they're good at doing this job. The problem is if you own an elephant and you have to support your family, this is your whole livelihood, what are you to do now? You're out of the job. You have to give 400 pounds of food to this animal every single day. So tourism has taken the place, and tourism does provide great opportunities to support elephants, to support elephant owners that are called mahouts. What are they called? mahouts, great. And then it does help out. But tourism can be done in a great, an okay, or maybe not such a great way. And we'll talk about some of those different ways. And so when we look at elephant tourism, maybe one of the not so great ways here is riding these elephants with these big seats on them. It's not good for the elephant. Now, you may ask yourself, well, so what? Even if you don't care about the elephant's health, many people have been injured before because a lot of these animals are overworked. And what happens if you have, think about yourself, if you're feeling a little tired and cranky, you may snap at your brother or sister, or maybe you hit them. You didn't really mean to, but you did it without thinking. Well, imagine if 10,000 pounds does that to a human. Even if they mean to or not, they're going to hurt you badly. So what can happen is they can throw people off of these chairs and then stampede them, and this is not good, right? We can all agree with that. So the next best thing is to, like we said before, is to ride bareback. And the best thing is to not ride elephants at all. All right, so here we're showing some elephants riding in the Elephant Nature Park. One of the cool things that we liked is we asked them is do other places, have they started to follow their lead? And they said yes, they have, which is a really good thing. It's kind of like going and buying organic food, right? If you can charge more for it, people are going to start doing it. So when we talk about mahouts are the people that work with these elephants. And then mahouts themselves in Thailand today typically are immigrants. They're immigrants over from Myanmar a lot of the time. And so if we support good habits, good places, we're not only supporting the elephants, but we're also supporting people. Remember that as well. And one of the things that we love about the Elephant Nature Park is that they choose to use that positive reinforcement. So they don't hit them if they don't want to do anything. They walk around with food in their bags. They try to get them to come over for pictures. If the elephants don't want to, that is okay at the Elephant Nature Park. And it's one of the things that we love. In fact, here, this elephant, they were trying to get them to come over to us so we can take some awesome, amazing photographs for you. But this elephant did not want to. This cow said, no, not today. And you know what? At the Elephant Nature Park, that is okay. At other places, they may force this elephant to do that, and that's not a good thing. And the last thing is, makes my 10-year-old self cry, because I loved going to the circus when I was most of your age. And I must unfortunately recommend today, if you have a circus that has an elephant, elephants can do really cool things, explorers. Go out on YouTube today. You can find some amazing things that they can do. They can paint pictures. I've seen them playing video games, playing musical instruments, riding a tricycle. These things are hilarious, right? But here's the thing that we don't think about when we see these cute photographs and videos, is what that process was to train that elephant to do that. It's not their way. It's not natural. You cannot take a wild elephant and teach them to ride a tricycle without causing a lot of pain to that elephant. And honestly, if they showed that on their videos, I guarantee you people would stop watching them. So I always recommend, if you want to see them do funny, cool stuff, stick to Disney and the illustrations and the cartoons. Elephants are awesome by themselves. We don't need to see them paint pictures to enjoy elephants. This is my opinion. You're all able to make your own choices. And here's an example of a common show that you would see at a circus or a tourism place in Southeast Asia. This one's actually from Indonesia, but very common, and common maybe to a circus going around near your home.
Siap. Takut ada apa?
All right, so mahouts and explorers, our last survey question. If you're not logged in yet, we're going to launch our quiz and then wrap up for the day. So let's get ready. This is the last chance to get logged in. If you want a chance to win a postcard from me, GOB from the Learn Around the World Studios, today's game pin is 9377450. Let's do it. All right, after this, what do you still think? Is elephant tourism good or bad for elephants? What do you think? All right, some people are saying no, some I still don't know. I have to say, I go back and forth. No answer up here is wrong, explorers, because there are good ways for doing tourism. We don't have time to get a lot into it, too, but some fun great tourism that I came across was the Elephant Paper Park. So remember earlier, so this is a place that buys food that gives to places like the Elephant Sanctuary. Then in return, they get their poop. So they take elephant poop. Remember those big mounds of it? And then what they do is they make paper. And then they make all kinds of paper products. And they have the coolest t-shirts and everything that are poop puns, which is amazing, by the way. And so I recommend it to anyone going to Thailand. Check out the Elephant Paper Park. Fantastic source of tourism that supports elephants, does not hurt them in any way, and we get to enjoy and learn so much from them. All right, go look them up. All right, so let's jump right into it. Every question from here on out, explorers, is worth points. So the quicker you answer correctly, the more points you get. The winner of today's show will get a postcard from me, GOB from the Learn Around the World studio. So let's try it out. First question coming at you, explorers. How many species of elephants are there? All right, there are 2 species of elephants. Great job. Jumping out to the lead, we have Helpful Falcon. Are they going to stay there? Next question coming at you. The Elephant Nature Park is in what country? Is it Thailand, India, Cambodia, or Indonesia? All right, it is Thailand. Great job. Coming up next, we have Classy Lemur takes the lead. Because elephants eat so much food, they chew for how many hours a day? 8, 12, 18, or 24? All right, it is 18 hours a day. All right, great job. We have a new leader. 2 questions left. True or false? You can ride elephants at the Elephant Nature Park. All right, that is false. And last question, make it count. Is Lively Deer going to win today? How many months are elephants pregnant for? All right, it is 14. And today's winner is Lively Deer. Great job, Lively Deer. So get a parent if you're younger or if you're old enough and it's okay with your parents. Go to geoshow.tv in the menu bar. Click on Kahoot Winner and enter in your mailing address. I'll send you a postcard from me, GOB from the Learn Around the World studios. To the rest of you out there, go ahead and take a picture too, because if we have more than one submission, there's only one winner. I want to know who Lively Deer is. And if you have time, don't forget to keep joining more virtual opportunities. Hopefully we can all get back out in the world sooner than later and keep exploring. It is a great big world out there. Until next time, you've been watching the Geo Show. Bye, explorers.